The decline in public confidence, combining with governmental fragility, a perceived erosion of the monarchy's respect, and rooted political polarization thus has resulted in civilian casualties, call for a closer look at Thailand politics course. Ideological conflicts have had a significant impact on Thailand's politics dynamic. The recurring cycle of military and democratic rule, and the important roles played by various institutions. Furthermore, international events have had a significant impact on Thailand's political landscape, as have domestic one, and we will see how a middle power country like Thailand also influenced international politics and events. First political movement started in 1901. Thailand still used the name Siam and is still an absolute monarch. The Holy Man rebellion, the group that rose against the Siam state. He, who mi bun, referred to the establishment of a representative in the group who is believed to have been born with merit and to release the village to have hope that they will have a good and happy life. One of the factors driving this movement is that the French-Thai Treaty of 1893, which granted France control over part of Laos and the northern part of Siam, created power vacuum in the region, allowing the rebellion to take root. France and Siamese forces worked together to put an end to the rebellion, underscoring the region's complicated geopolitical dynamics at the turn of the 20th centuries. Moving forward to 1904, the day after Siam declared neutrality in the Japanese-Russian War, Siam lost territory on the right bank of the Mekong River. According to the Siamese-French Treaty of 1879, for France to withdraw its troops from Chantaburi, but occupied Trat instead. The first European tour of King Chulalongkorn, Rama V, was driven by the growing influence of Great Britain and France in the region. Siam sought out to balance this power by establishing relationship with other major powers such as Russia. However, the relationship eventually deteriorated due to the aftermath of the Russo-Japanese War, including alleged Russian attempts to bribe Thai officials. Another way to defend against threat from Western colonialism is for Siam to appear modern and comparable to other civilized nations. Siam needs to develop, which result in the abolition of slavery. King Chulalongkorn declared the abolition of slavery in the Kingdom of Siam, abolishing both slavery and serfdom in 1905. Going back to Trat province 1907, in return for Trat, which include all Iceland up to Kok Kut, Siam needs to cede to France the province of Siem Reap, Pattabong, and Sinsopon in northwest Cambodia nowadays. The hope of Siam would become one of the civilized country, combined with the ripple effect of the Shanghai Revolution. Victories sparked the Palace Revolution of 1912. According to the regime's objective document, which the government seized from the revolutionary leader's house, the document is titled The Declare and Progress of the Country, and it reflects the group leader's politics view. The record contained critical comment about whether country progress will be prosperous or deteriorate as a result of their governance. The revolution was an attempt to change the form of the government to a republic, but before any agree could be reached or anything could be done, the government suppressed them to the point where they have to be imprisoned. Siam declared war on the Central Powers led by Germany and Austria-Hungary in 1917 after maintaining a strict neutrality stand for nearly 3 years after the start of World War I. This was an important step toward restoring sovereignty and freedom of trade and commerce with Western powers such as England, France, paving the way for the cancellation of unfair treaties from the 19th centuries. This allowed Western nations to trade freely with a traffic ceiling of only 3% on export and import, as well as the establishment of a British consulate in Siam and the granting of extraterritoriality. Siam was founding member of the League of Nations in 1919 and successfully concluded treaty with the United States in 1920, Britain in 1924, and France in 1925 respectively. Country need to develop and people also need to be educated. In 1921 start of compulsory education, all children aged 7 must attend primary school for at least 800 hours per year until they reach the age of 14 or until they can read or write Thai. At this time, there are more opportunity to study abroad, not just for royal family. So more people are becoming knowledgeable about nationalist idea. In France, marked the start of significant change in Thailand. The seeds of revolution were sown when two Thai students in Paris, Priti Phanomyong and Lieutenant Prayun Pamonmontri, met and agreed to collaborate on a plan to overthrow the Siamese monarchy. They subsequently invited 5 trusted associates to join their cause, forming the nucleus of what would become known as the People's Party. Thai students in Paris met and agreed to work together to transform Siam's government through the method of swift power seizure. As they grew popularity among civilians, military personnel, and naval force, they became known as Khanak Rasadon or People Party. Fast forward to the night of June 23rd, when the heavy rain relieved the humid evening air, while the planners finalized their strategy. The People's Party, Khanak Rasadon, launched their revolution at dawn on June 24, 1932, with a clear sky and warm weather. Song, the Operation Transportation Coordinator, dispatches armored vehicles through the street of Bangkok, Thailand's capital. They quickly surrounded government, ministry, and palace, disrupting internal communication. The Thai monarchy's supreme power, which has lasted over 150 years, was deposed in Southeast Asian only independent nation in matters of an hours. It should be noted that there was no bloodshed or casualties, and government officials distributed copies of the People's Party manifesto to the public to inform them of the change and their intention. The first announcement of People's Party importance point established the 6th principle to reflect goals centered on people's power, national security, economic welfare, equality, rights and liberties, and education for all citizens. Not only did this event influence the Thai Revolution, but so did the revolution in Russia in 1917 and Germany in 1918, according to the People's Party's announcement. If there is no money, the government seizes access or use forced labor, yet you live comfortably without care. No other country in the world grants its rulers such wealth, except Fascist Russia and Kaiser Germany, both of which have had their monarch overthrown. This shows how global events influenced Thailand's transformation, inspiring the revolution, and the manifesto explicitly described the announcement as a source of hope for the people. Thailand's post-revolution politics landscape was marked by instability. Less than a year after the 1932 revolution, Phaya Manokon Nitithada staged a coup, dissolving parliament under the pretext of the political division over economic policy. His government enacted the Communist Act of 1933 and targeted Priti Phanomyong, falsely accusing him of communist sympathies based on his economic proposal. In June 1933, Phaya Manokon Nitithada staged a coup by issuing a decree to dissolve the parliament. He justified this action by claiming that the proposed economic plan has caused such deep division of opinion that consensus could not be reached. In June 1933, Colonel Phaya Pahonpayuha Sena led another coup to oust Phaya Manokon. This coup was fueled by political tension and disagreement over Priti Phanomyong's proposed nation economics framework, which was fully characterized as communist. The reason was the need to seize power to allow the House of Representatives to function according to the Constitution. The Homeland Rescue Group, led by Prince Bawaradeh, planned a coup against the People's Party government in late July 1933. This rebellion, which erupted in October, stemmed from deep-seated political tension. Key factors include the clash between traditionalists and modernizer, dispute over economic policy, the lingering impact of June 1933 coup, and concern about monarchy's diminished role in the new regime. As a result, the government emerged victorious. Prince Bawaradeh fled the country, and King Rama VII sought refuge in the Hat Yai province. This kind of conflict still occurred across the century, and then the World War II came. Siam has changed the name to Thailand at this point. It was originally a neutral country during World War II, and actually, let's just back out for a little bit. The beginning of World War II started in 1939, and Siam also changed its name to Thailand this year, which is not a coincidence. It occurred during the first term of Field Marshal P. Kesboonchoo as Prime Minister, based on the principle that most countries tend to name their countries after their nationalistic. Nationalism and neutrality in war became the dominant ideology under Field Marshal Kesboonchoo government. The regime replaced the monarchy with the nation as the central symbol and promote nationalist sentiments to undermine traditional belief. Domestic and international factors contribute to the rise and enduring influence of this nationalist ideology. And this plan worked pretty well. leading to people, student, and scholar march on October 8, 1940s, demanding territorial concession from France. This culminated in the Franco-Thai War later that month. The conflict was rooted in historical treaties, particularly the 1893 Franco-Thai Treaty and the subsequent treaty that was mentioned in the beginning, which led to the territorial dispute, especially over Mekong River. Japan intervened to mediate, bringing the Franco-Thai War to an end, but it came with consequence. Japan's 1941 invasion of Burma required passage through Thailand. Faced with overwhelming military force, Thailand reluctantly agreed to Japan's demands. This decision influenced by military pressure and the desire to resolve territorial dispute with France, dividing the Thai people. Some opposed joining the Axis power, while others were confused by the government's sudden shift from neutrality. Despite public sentiment, Thailand officially joined the war on December 21, 1941, signing a joint operation agreement with Japan. Japanese invasion sparked the Free Thai movement, an underground resistance group that aimed to preserve Thai sovereignty and aid the Allies. Operating from 1941 to 1945, the movement provided valuable intelligence and support to Allied force with Pretty Penomyung and his friend. Following the end of the World War II, Thailand, aided by the Free Thai movement, successfully negotiated with the Allies to avoid war reparations. This diplomatic victory and U.S. influence through military aid and training shaped Thailand's post-war political landscape. The Free Thai movement, a crucial resistance force during World War II, received vital support from U.S. Office of Strategic Service or OSS. The collaboration between the Free Thai and the OSS, which continued into Vietnam War, underscored the movement's significance. The Free Thai also worked with British force, coordinating resistance efforts and received military training. This combined effort, along with the support of Allies military personnel, contribute to Thai resistance against Japanese occupation. That concludes the relationship between Thailand and World War II. The story is still continuing. Entering Cold War era. Cold War allowed the United States to gain influence over Thai politics. The United States influence of Thai counter-insurgency principle and policy is transmitted to Thailand via military education and training. The 1954 formation of seato, led by U.S., aimed to contain communists in Southeast Asia. Thailand's involvement in this alliance provided platform for engagement with major power and facilitated U.S. with influence. This, in turn, influenced Thai politics, often used as justification for authoritarian measures under the guise of anti-communists. The 1947 coup, led by Field Marshal P.พิบูลสงคราม and royalist group, overthrew the Pretty Penomyung government. This coup aimed to restore royalist power and crown property, challenging the reform of the 1932 revolution. In 1948 coup, led by Field Marshal Thaiพิบูลสงคราม of Prime Minister Wang Aphaiwong. This coup, backed by royal force, aimed to consolidate power and undermine the democratic gains made since the 1932 revolution. Silent coup. In 1951, Field Marshal P.พิบูลสงคราม seized power from his own government to consolidate his power, citing the threat of communism as well as increased corruption and the government's inability to handle it. This coup was supported by the United States. September 16, 1957, Thailand coup Field Marshal Sarit Panarat took advantage of the situation of the Hyde Park protest at Sanam Luang to stage a coup to seize power from the government of Field Marshal P.พิบูลสงคราม, using the name military guardian of the capital, citing the reason that government of Field P.พิบูลสงครามhad administered the country in a way that was not trusted by the people and was not able to maintain peace and order in the country. In addition, this coup was also supported by United States. The Hyde Park protest actually brought in by P.พิบูลสงคราม, who traveled around the world with the support of the USA. However, people criticized the work of the government adherein, which is inspired by the version that came from England, which in Thailand only focused on politics, unlike England, which spoke in every aspect of rights. And this coup in 1957 is a result in the People's Party losing all of its power in a coup and ending its 25 years in power. In 1958, Field Marshal Sarit Panarat and his original coup overthrew Field Marshal Thanom Kitik Khajon governments under the disguise of the Revolutionary Council. They declared that the 1932 Constitution and the 1959 Amendment were to be repealed, that political parties and parliament would be abolished, that law regulating newspaper would be issued, and that political gatherings would no longer be allowed. One could argue that this coup, which went by the name of the Revolutionary Council, imposed martial law indefinitely throughout the kingdom and had complete authority to govern the nation. The United States provided substantial financial support for this coup to promote the development discourse that emphasized the economics as the decisive element. The revolution and when the Constitution drafting Assembly nominated Field Marshal Cyrus as Prime Minister on February 9, 1959. The spread of communist ideology throughout Southeast Asia further strengthened ties between United States and Saudi Panarat governments. Thailand became a key location in Vietnam War after Viet Minh defeated French force in North Vietnam, although acknowledging Thailand's opposition to communists. The spread of communist ideology throughout Southeast Asia further strengthened ties between the United States and Saudi Panarat governments. Thailand became a key location in the Vietnam War after the Viet Minh defeated French force in North Vietnam. Although acknowledging Thailand's opposition to communists, the United States was concerned about possible domino effect given the unrest in Laos and Cambodia. As a result, the United States gave Thailand a lot of aid, including 8 military bases and sum of money from the United States Agency International Development (USAID). Field Marshal Thanom Kitik Khajon staged self-coup in 1971, citing communist threats. This move dissolved parliament and granted him dictatorial powers, allowing him to consolidate control and suppress dissent. Leading to the 1973 Thai people uprising, several factors have contributed to government's violent crackdown on protests. Since Marshal Sarit Thanarat took power, Thailand has been ruled by military dictatorship for almost 15 years. There have also been allegations of corruption in the government, including a 1971 self-imposed coup. Despite peaceful protests and promised reform, the government turned on the demonstrators, accusing them of illegal assembly, sedition, and communist activity in a violent crackdown just before noon on October 14, 1973. The government reneged on its pledge and deployed force to disperse the peaceful assembly. After the uprising of people on October 14, leading to a surge in leftist ideas, particularly among students, the students expressed the concern of the U.S. troops in Thailand and pressed the government to adopt more neutral foreign policy, including the withdrawal of U.S. troops. The gathering of students and people still went on until the return of former Prime Minister Thanom Kitik Khajon, and subsequent protests resulted in accusations against students of La Majesty and communism. This culminated in the October 6, 1976 massacre at Thammasat University. The event marked by violence and bloodshed was triggered by the question of the monarchy and leftist group and was fueled by Cold War fears and right-wing ideologies, because at the time, the domino in Southeast Asia started to fall, and Thailand is still a country that's still a democracy. Time magazine at the time called it a nightmarish orgy of lynching and arson. Students who surrendered and those who were trying to escape were assaulted. The day ended with a military coup led by Admiral Sangat Chalaw at 6 p.m., citing the student La Majesty and possession of heavy weapons. The massacre remained a dark chapter in Thai history, with many questions about its orchestration still unanswered. Following the coup of October 6, Thailand Krai governments implement a far-right policy and launched a surf crackdown of lefty elements. As a result, some lefties joined the Communist Party of the Thailand and its affiliates, both in rural and urban. Additionally, a faction within the military led by General Chalat Hiransiri attempted a coup on 26 March 1977. This event prompted the 1976 coup assembly to stage another coup on 20 October 1977, overthrowing the Thailand government and adopting General Kriengsak Chamanat as the 15th Prime Minister on November 11, 1977. Amnesty were granted to those involved in the 6 October 1976 incidents, and relations with the People's Republic of China were restored. Coupled with internal division within the communist movement, this development ultimately led to the victory of the state. It is widely believed that this coup received financial support from the United States, giving General Kriengsak
close tie with the U.S. Upon seizing power, the junta appointed General Greensack Prime Minister and abolished the 1976 Constitution, replacing with the 1978 Constitution.
Following the fierce event of 1976, Thailand continued to be plagued by political instability. A brief democratic interlude emerged in 1988 with the election of General Chetichai Chunhawan as Prime Minister. However, this period of relative stability was short-lived. In 1991, a coup took place in Thailand, led by the Nation Peacekeeping Council, or NPCO, under General Sunthorn Kongsompon, who seized power from the government of General Chatichai. Despite General Sunthorn being the formal leader, the real power was held by General Suchinda Krapayun. The coup marked the first since the end of the Cold War, with communism no longer being a valuable pretext for such action. Instead, accusations of corruption, abuse of power, and threat to the monarchy became a main justification. The 1991 coup accused Chatichai government of parliamentary dictatorship, corruption, military undermining. The NPCO annulled the existing constitution and issued the 1991 constitution. One significant amendment was regarding royal succession. Previously, the appointment of a successor required parliamentary approval. This new constitution reduced this parliamentary acknowledgement only. This provision remained in subsequent constitution and was first appealed in 2016, 25 years later. Initially, public reactions was muted, as many believed Chatichai government was corrupt. However, public discontent grew when General Suchinda assumed premiership, despite his early promise to not do so. With no elected parliament to oversee, protests erupt against the NPOC's extended grip on power. Demonstration intense field, leading to violent clash between protester and government force from May 17 to May 21st, 1992. The protester primarily outlined the middle class, including new generation entrepreneurs, business owner, office worker, and some former activists from the 1973 and 1976 student uprising. A striking aspect of this movement was the use of mobile communication devices such as pagers and mobile phones to coordinate and share information. This innovation earned the protest the nickname mobile mob. Protesters organized convoys of vehicles with long line moving from the royal palace to Sanam Luang, where vast parking areas were needed. The advanced communication system significantly improved the protesters' ability to organize and amplify their demands.
The protest crackdown concluded on May 24th, when leaders on both sides compromised and issued a joint statement on national television. Following this, General Suchinda resigned from his position as Prime Minister. However, the deep-seated issue of corruption, military interference in politics, and monarchy rules in Thailand society remain unresolved. The events of 1992 marked a significant turning point in Thai political history, highlighting the power of public protest and the enduring struggle of democracy. In September, a nationwide election was held, and Chua Lik-pai accepted the position of Prime Minister. And during his tenure, the drafting and promulgation of the 1997 Constitution took place, widely regarded as People's Constitution, due to its legitimacy and participatory process. As the 21st century approached, new political figures and parties began to emerge, marking the end of Thai politics in the 20th century.
This period marked Thailand's transition toward democracy, shaped by economic volatility and institutional reform. However, it also laid the groundwork for future political conflicts, and yes, the struggle involving civilians had not ended. Today, past events are often revisited, whether to inspire moral, draw comparison to current government action, or serve as reason for political protest. Depending on the situation, I am among those who aspire to see better living conditions for people in Thailand. Thus, I have chosen to take part in continuing the aspiration of past fighters, whether from the liberation of the Pibun movement or the declaration of the Kanarasadon People's Party, which sought to improve the equality of life for the people under an honest government. Finally, we have witnessed the growth of populist and nationalist movement in Thai politics. The transformation from Siam to Thailand and the shift from absolute monarchy to democracy. The changing global landscape influenced the thoughts of leaders and citizens of the time, leading to division and factions. Conversely, internal division and the perspective of Thai leaders also impact significant global events, particularly the Free Thai movement during World War II, which extended its influence into the Cold War era. This demonstrates that medium-sized country like Thailand has influenced other nations, just as other nations have impacted Thailand.
And that's the path of 20th century Thai politics, the path to democracy and national identity.